Pluto in Aquarius is finally here. Oh my God. Look, okay, this is a really big deal, but 95% of the crap that I hear on this app about Pluto and Aquarius is just a bunch of like 20-year-olds bandwagoning on random catchphrases, and they're telling you that this is the biggest astrological day of the year. It is not. It is not. They do not know what they're talking about. My name is Ryan. I am a full-time professional astrologer. This is how I make my whole living. I feel the need to say that because Pluto in Aquarius, coupled with the fact that Saturn is in Pisces, has a lot to do with false prophets. And who are you taking your information from? Do they have an understanding of what they're saying or not? Okay? This is going to be especially the case when Jupiter enters Gemini on May 25th. I mean, that's a whole ass media literacy issue that we're going to have to come to terms with, but we'll cross that bridge when we need to. For now, let's look at what Pluto in Aquarius means, all right? And I'm going to go in depth here, so settle in. This is not going to be some really quick 2-minute long video where I'm just going to say a bunch of inflammatory phrases at you and make you freak the fuck out about what Pluto in Aquarius means. I want you to actually understand what this means, okay? First, a little logistical thing. This is not the first time Pluto's been in Aquarius in our lifetime, okay? Last year, Pluto entered Aquarius from March 23rd until June 11th. Pluto was in Aquarius. All right, so this is nothing new now. Like, it's okay. But then after June 11th, Pluto went back to Capricorn, and it's been in Capricorn all the way up until January 20th of this year, 2024, right? So January 20th, Pluto enters Aquarius. But it's not just now in Aquarius. It's going to go back to Capricorn one more time from September 1st to November 19th, I believe, this year. So just a couple months there, where Pluto's going to dip back into Capricorn. It's not fully in Aquarius yet. It's just not, okay? After November 19th, Pluto will be in Aquarius all the way until March of 2043. So yeah, there's going to be this huge new era of Pluto in Aquarius, but it's still on the bleeding edge here between Capricorn and Aquarius. It is not firmly in one sign. My theme for this whole year, really, like I've got a couple of them, but one of my big ones is regarding Pluto flirting with Capricorn and Aquarius. It's literally straddling both now, okay? And this year's theme for me is this quote from the game League of Legends. It's a super random quote that some character just kind of randomly says, but it is so profound to me, and I really want you to think about this, okay? Tradition is the corpse of wisdom. The more you think about that, the crazier it gets. Tradition is the corpse of wisdom. What? Look, Capricorn, where Pluto is leaving behind, Capricorn rules tradition, okay? It's like the way things have been, that's how it should be done. Aquarius rules progress, innovation. It's the future forward sign. So that's the thing we're straddling. Like, what have we always done and where do we need to go next? Pluto is the planet that is death, destruction, but also rebirth and creation. So it's trying to destroy the traditions, hierarchies, structures that no longer work for us, and it's moving us into a space of more collective empowerment and trying to come up with solutions that are better for everybody right now. Capricorn has a lot to do with hierarchies and power structures that are like coming from the top and trickle down, right? Aquarius is interconnected systems. It has so much more to do with equality, okay? And Pluto's trying to shift power from the people at the top to power to the people. That is kind of like another catchphrase for Pluto and Aquarius. Power to the people. Yay! But that means we need to get real about this concept of tradition. Not all traditions need to be abandoned, right? Like maybe your family has instilled traditions in you, and as you grow up, you're like, I want to carry that on, but you also deserve to make your own traditions, right? Like tradition is a preserver of wisdom, for sure, but it's also a hindrance to our progress. We need to understand the difference here. Our job is to figure out which traditions are life affirming and which are life less now. Does that make sense? Okay, so for the past 15 years, Pluto has been like ravaging Capricorn, right? It's showing us the shadow. That's what Pluto is. It is a lot to do with the shadow side of things. It's been showing us the shadow of Capricorn. So it's showing us the shadow, especially related to government and economics. These really big institutional structures that we rely on. Like in a personal sense, Capricorn has a whole lot to do with like your bones and your skin, okay? It's the things that hold the body up. So in a collective sense, Capricorn has to do with those things that hold society up. But a lot of that as Pluto has shown us, is disintegrating. It's decaying. These are dead ends that have to be cut off now, okay? So we're really, really looking at that stuff. Another really symbolic thing that maybe you've heard about, but probably in like really shitty terms, is that Pluto and the sun are moving into Aquarius together. This is a really cool deal because Pluto rules shadows, right? The sun inherently is visibility. It shines a light into dark spaces. So the idea of Pluto and the sun coming together, literally they come together on January 20th. 20 minutes after their conjunction, the sun enters Aquarius. Like 10 hours later, Pluto enters Aquarius. They are like, hey, let's meet up. Like, the sun is like, let me look at all of your dark shit. Like, what's been the past 15 years of darkness and turmoil and what has died in our society in the last 15 years. And then the sun's like, all right, sweet. Now my gaze is set on the future. Enters Aquarius. Pluto is like, all right, let's go enter Aquarius now. But that's not all good. It's not all good. But largely, there's a kind of cool symbolic thing happening here. There's something called Plato's allegory of the cave. I thought that this was a cool example to bring up because, well, Pluto, right? And you know what? Before I even tell you about that, like, let me show you something. This book, The Archetypal Universe, I mean, every sentence in this book is better than, like, the vast majority of astrologers on this app, okay? So let me just, like, give you another professional thought here, okay? I'm reading from this, the Sun-Pluto section, okay? There's two sentences I want to read here. One very directly relates to the other quote I gave you, tradition is the corpse of wisdom. All right. The reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable one persists in trying to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all progress, Aquarius, depends on the unreasonable man. So Aquarius is crazy, okay? But it's also the genius. Like, ideas seem really nuts because we're not on that wavelength yet. Like, a society hasn't adapted to the Aquarian ideals yet. But those are typically the solutions that we're going to need. The reasonable man is going to be keeping tradition intact. So you really want to look at that stuff right now. But then regarding the sun, Pluto more specifically, and this Plato's allegory of the cave that I'm about to tell you, is this other quote in here that says, there is strong shadow where there is much light, okay? So just because the sun and Pluto are meeting up, sure, it brings visibility to the darker structures, but it's also going to create more shadows. That's going to tone this Pluto and Aquarius transit that we're dealing with this year. Is like the idea that more shadows will be created because visibility is being cast onto Pluto, a planet that just inherently is shadows. So Plato's allegory of the cave has a lot to do with, like, okay, there's a bunch of prisoners in a cave. They're chained to this wall, and all they stare at their whole lives is this wall. And they, you know, there's like a fire behind them, and things move behind the fire. So the things that move in the real world are casting shadows on the wall, right? The prisoners know no better. They look at the wall and the shadows and they think that is reality, but they're only seeing this fragment of reality, okay? That's it. But reality is actually out in the world. The full picture of reality is. And so people who are prisoners moving forward are going to be the people who are refusing to go out into the light and actually explore more, be inquisitive and say, where's this coming from? The people who are going to be stuck in the past are going to be continuing to look at the shadow sides of where we've been. You don't want to be stuck in the past. You really, really want to be moving forward right now. So as Pluto moves into Aquarius, we're going to continue to deal with the death of very obsolete systems. Pluto rules science and technology, innovation, advancements in space and astrology even. Aquarius rules astrology. Like, very cool things will be experiencing huge levels of progress, but at the same time, we're going to be dealing with a lot of our systems still that are not able to adapt. So look at that obsolete system or obsolete structure in your life. It could be in your workplace, in your personal life. It doesn't really matter, but we're trying to evolve and move forward. We're breaking free of constraints of the past. And the wisdom now is not in upholding these ideals of our dead ancestors anymore. Wisdom, true wisdom, is like to embrace new paradigms, right? It's to move forward. That's what we're looking for. The last time that Pluto was in Aquarius, like officially for good, was 250 years ago. We had the French Revolution, American Revolution, Industrial Revolution, sure. So Pluto in Aquarius can relate a whole lot to the civil uprising against the powers that be. We may see that, but it's a different world. The revolution is online now. I'm almost out of time. Maybe I'll do a part 2. Traditions that should not be carried on were traditions that were created in times and spaces that cannot fit for today's society anymore. What's wise now, wisdom now, incorporates evolving ideas. It is alive and dynamic, okay? That is wisdom.